Good morning. Welcome. Hi, everyone. We're glad you made it. We're giving a couple minutes for everyone to get logged in. We're expecting a lot of people today, and we know it takes a minute for Zoom to settle. So bear with us, give us a moment, get settled, and then we're going to do some introductions and dive into our webinar this morning. But we're glad we're here. You're here. We're glad everyone made it. And yay, we get to talk about Wraparound on a Wednesday morning. Woohoo!
We got a whole room of people over there, Rebecca. See that?
Oh my goodness, I do now. Nice. Your whole team. That's amazing. And hi, Rebecca. I recognize. Ooh, what an exciting Wednesday.
I have a question. I'm sorry. I have a meeting with my supervisor. Can I jump in after my meeting with her? Or was that being rude of me? I just want to, I'm not sure.
Yep, the room is open. You can come and go. It's totally fine. And this webinar is also being recorded.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be live on our website. You can always catch up on anything you missed.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Absolutely.
Good, right. Because that's what I wanted to make sure.
All right, team. We ready to get started here? Let's do it. So good morning, everyone. My name is Rebecca Cox. I am a wraparound specialist here at the Resource Center for Family Focused Practice at UC Davis. It's great to be here. I'll be one of your presenters today alongside DHCS and CDSS. And so I'll kick it over to Danny.
Morning, everybody. I'm Danny Gabriel with Department of Social Services. And I would like to introduce my team here at DSS. So I'm going to have you guys just go ahead and introduce yourselves. These are your wraparound coordinators for all of the counties who are joining us today. And we're really happy to be here with you. I'm going to start with Janine. Or Kayla. Janine, you're on mute.
Are you all set, Janine?
Okay. All right, I'll go ahead. Hi, everyone. Janine Lesor with the Family Center Practice Unit. I'm one of your wraparound consultants, and I'm happy that you're here, and I will be available to support you. And I will pass it over to Kayla.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kayla. I'm also one of your wraparound consultants, and happy for you guys to be here today. And I'll go ahead and pass it to Amy.
Good morning. Great to see everyone. Amy Bailey, wraparound consultant with CDSS, and I'll pass it to Chris Petty.
Good morning, everyone. Chris Petty, CDSS Family Center Practice Unit as well, and also a wraparound coordinator. Welcome, everybody. Back to Danny.
Thanks, guys. Do we want to introduce some of the UC Davis staff here with us today, Rebecca and Donna in particular?
Absolutely. Donna, go ahead and jump in.
Good morning, everyone. Donna Lynch from the Resource Center for Family Focused Practice. Big day here in the wraparound family world. So happy you all made it. My areas of focus are everything peer and parent partner and wraparound. And with that, I will pass it over to Tamara Trehouse. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. I'm Tamara Trehouse with the Resource Center for Family Focused Practice as well. And my area of focus is wraparound and also 0 to 5. And I can't see her on the screen, but I'm going to kick it to Lizzie.
Good morning, everybody. It's really a pleasure to be here with you this morning. My name is Lizzie Dembos. I'm a specialist with the Resource Center for Family Focused Practice. I'll pass it back to Rebecca.
All right. And then I'll just kick it right over to Sarah and DHCS. Go ahead, Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah Betts. I'm with DHCS in the FFPSA unit and the lead on aftercare for our team, but also have Tana Kender, Felicia Moore-Herring, and Aurelia Hernandez with us here today.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. So those people that just introduced and said hi, they are the behind the scenes. We're kind of behind the scenes, kind of not. People that have been working super hard on bringing out this all county letter, VHIN, are bringing this wraparound approval and certification forward to you. And we're your support team moving forward. So as we all go through this process together that we're going to be talking about here in a minute, just know these faces on the screen are your people. And we're definitely here to support and just do this together because we think this is an exciting time for Wraparound and for, just uplifting our wraparound practice in California. So welcome. This is a webinar you're at today. Now's your chance to be like, oh no, I didn't come here to talk about wraparound. Let's get out of here. All county letter, no. Just kidding. But here we are, we're going to walk through the all county letter. So this morning's agenda really is, we're just going to go right through this all county letter. We're going to talk through like, what are the main topics of this? What it looks at? What are the requirements? As I said earlier, this webinar is recorded, so you do have the ability to go back and watch it again on our website after today if you're like, wait, what did they say? And also all of this content is in the all county letter that was released a couple weeks ago. So, all right, let's dive in, let's get started. Before we jump into like actual content, we want to just bring forward to you that this has been a journey. So many of you know, many of you have been a part of this. Our California Wraparound Advisory Committee, our Wraparound Steering Committee have been in this and with us for years as we've tried to get this approval and certification out the door. But this started a long, long time ago, and it built on a lot of earlier work that was already being done. And then in 2019, Daniel Wilson was like, I have an idea. We should get some people, some wraparound experts together. And in doing so, we formed the Wraparound Steering Committee, which brought together experts across all of California, from counties, from providers, from probation, from behavioral health. We really looked for a variety of perspectives on wraparound experts that have been there a real long time. And we started asking them, like, what does it take to do wraparound and do it well? And what does Fidelity look like? And we went through wraparound standards. So in 2015, we had wraparound standards that had already been developed, but not a lot of folks were following them. And we had noticed that like there'd been significant drifts. So wraparound in one county looked completely different from wraparound in a different county. Families were experiencing confusion. We would hear about families that say, oh, I got this wrap provider before, and then I came back to wraparound, I got something completely different, and I don't know what's right. And I'm confused, and what is this wraparound thing? And so we really set out to address those questions and start bringing that forward to say, what do we want wraparound services to look like in California? And in doing that, we went through the 2015 standards, compared them to the national wraparound standards, and just updated everything. And so with this all county letter, we're also releasing new wraparound standards. They're on our UC Davis website. We're dropping a resource page for you. And it has all the links. So you'll see that resource page come down a couple times in chat. I highly encourage you to download it. It's all the links we're going to mention and talk about today in one sheet, one place, so you don't have to try to save all that stuff separately. So we updated those wraparound standards and we said, you know what, this is what we're going to do for high fidelity wraparound. This is what this is going to look like. And so really the point of this is just today marks the beginning of like a lot of work. And now we're transitioning into, we did a ton of work. It's been a long journey. And actually we have some exciting stuff ahead. And here we go. We're finally launching these things. So again, we're super glad. If you're on your screen, then that means like, yes, you're here. The word has been out as far as high fidelity wraparound and what we're doing today. And so we'll jump in and talk about a little bit why we're here and what we're doing.
Thanks, Rebecca. So we know there's a lot going on with wraparound, and I really want to thank all of you too, because I know that many of you that are on this webinar were part of all of the work that brought us to this point. So thank you to all the steering committee members that are here. Thank you to all of the folks that have been attending CWAC meetings over the years and really participated in the development of the standards that are released as part of this letter. And we also know, and we'll touch briefly on, that there is more coming for high fidelity wraparound. We know that, but also grounding us in what this letter is really about. And that while we know there is more coming, our first phase and step one in this letter is really about launching high fidelity wraparound certification standards for the use of aftercare. And we'll get into this. We are very happy to have non-aftercare providers apply for certification. So we'll cover that again, but I want to say that from the very beginning, everybody is welcome to become a high fidelity wraparound certified provider. But really the focus of this particular letter right now is very specifically rooted in aftercare. So you will see more of a focus on that, and there will be more information to come over time on the other pieces. So we'll get to that later, but just a reminder that this is really about the updated California wraparound standards that are in the appendices and the launch of high fidelity wraparound for the use of aftercare. We can go to the next slide. So this letter is very long. We understand that this is much longer than most ACLs, BHINs. We tried to organize the letter a bit and break it up in a way that makes it a little more manageable for all of you as you're working through the letter. So we have a table of contents in the letter as well as a number of appendices. And what you can see here on the slides are what the letter walks through and what we will be walking through today on this webinar. So we will go through kind of all of the main points of the letter as well as the appendices. If you wanted to dive in to things like the actual standards, that will be in another webinar coming in August. So this is the first webinar. There will be more. We will not get to everything today. And please continue to join us as we dive into all of that is the aftercare ACL.
To talk a little bit about aftercare and the alignment with high fidelity wraparound, this ACL, as Danny mentioned, is about aftercare, which is one of the building blocks of the collaboration between DHCS and CDSS to implement high fidelity wraparound. There will be future guidance that will build upon the established process and requirements under the wraparound standards. And also, as Danny mentioned, we're headed this way. We don't have all the answers yet, but we will get those for you as time goes on. You can go to the next slide.
This is a little bit of a roadmap of what's coming. We want to lead with this and just make sure that you all know. We'll have another graph later with another little bit of a timeline, but really walking you through what we do anticipate coming in the future. And then we'll get back into the specifics of this specific piece. So just a reminder that this is phase 1 and this letter will focus on point 1. We have a lot of work going on with high fidelity wraparound. So you should expect a concept paper from DHCS to come soon. We know that there's a lot happening when it comes to Medi-Cal and high fidelity wraparound. We don't have answers for that today, but that is coming shortly. So stay tuned. Look in your inboxes. Make sure you're on the list for DHCS's information because they are working hard. We will have additional draft guidance available for public comment in the future. There will be final guidance in the future. There will also be additional guidance when it comes to the immediate needs and the tiered rate structure related to high fidelity wraparound. All of that is coming. We don't have all of those answers today. So grounding us back into what we really have at this moment is that 12 months from the release of the letter, county child welfare agencies, probation departments, mental health plans, in consultation with local interagency leadership teams shall jointly provide and arrange for or ensure the provision of at least 6 months of aftercare services for foster youth who are stepping down from an STRTP or CTF. Aftercare shall be high fidelity wraparound, consistent with the wraparound standards and through a certified high fidelity wraparound provider. So we will be discussing what it's going to take to get certified. And within 12 months, we do want counties to be contracting with certified wraparound providers for the provision of aftercare services per FFPSA. So that's, again, youth transitioning from an STRTP or a CTF into a family-based setting here in California. This is going to be a team effort. We do have an allocation that came through for child welfare services. So there's a specific child welfare allocation. We'll get into this a little bit, as well as the Medi-Cal component to pay for services. So we want you to all really be working in collaboration within your counties. And we can go on to the next.
Thanks, Denny. A little bit about high fidelity wraparound and Medi-Cal and the tiered rate structure. Beginning July 1st, 2026, DHCS will align the Medi-Cal high fidelity wraparound service requirements with national practice standards, and then implement a corresponding updated payment model within Medi-Cal specialty mental health services. It's described a bit in the DHSA County Policy Manual. Counties must also implement high fidelity wraparound under the Full Service Partnership Program beginning in July 2026. Until then, medically necessary high fidelity wraparound services must continue to be covered through existing Medi-Cal benefits. DHCS is going to release a high fidelity wraparound concept paper for a 3-week public comment period, which will describe the initial vision for Medi-Cal high fidelity wraparound payment and monitoring policies and associated updated standards for service delivery in both Medi-Cal and DHSA, and we'll seek feedback on the proposed model. Next slide. So here we have a bit of a timeline for you. We're here in July 2025, and we're launching the ACL, and we'll be releasing the high fidelity wraparound concept paper for stakeholder feedback. Next month in August, we will have the public comment period for the concept paper. For late July and late 2025 and early 2026, we will have draft Medi-Cal high fidelity wraparound guidance for public comment. In early 2026, we will release Medi-Cal high fidelity wraparound guidance. In July 2026, we'll release payment and monitoring policies for Medi-Cal high fidelity wraparound, and requirements for BHSA FS fees will take effect. 12 months from now, also, FFPSA Part 4 aftercare counties and providers will demonstrate compliance with the high fidelity wraparound model via submission in the portal. And in July of 2027, CDSS's immediate needs program and permanent foster care rate structure payments will go live. And within 12 months of the effective date of payment and monitoring policies, initial Medi-Cal fidelity monitoring assessments for Medi-Cal fidelity standards will begin for high fidelity wraparound providers. We don't have more information than that right now, but we'll share more in the future, and we can go to the next slide.
All right. So with the kicking off of this ACL and BHIN, we have our wraparound, high fidelity wraparound county plan approval and provider certification. And on the slide, we have an image of the portal in which all of counties and providers that are wishing to be certified will log in on this portal. So here it is. This is our process, and this is our website that we have been building. So you can access this at any time by going to calwrapcertification.com. It's on that resource list. We can drop the link in chat. And we'll talk a little bit about exactly what that looks like in a minute, but this is it. So we've set up our separate website for providers and counties to submit the county plan approval and provider certification that we're going to be talking about today. Again, today we're talking about aftercare wraparound, and specific to aftercare wraparound. This is open to others, as we'll discuss, but really the focus here is aftercare wraparound. So while we're chatting and talking away at your ear, feel free to poke through. I'll throw that up as I say that, so we don't all run in and do a bunch of profiles all at once. We are requiring that everybody do one profile per county and per provider, so that there's one submission per county and per provider. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more today, but just throwing that out there of like one word of caution before you like log in and make profiles, as we do need y'all to collaborate and work together and figure out that one person. We will have other webinars on this as well. So we're actually going to have a video recording that walks you through how to use this portal and what does it look like. We have 2 webinars coming up next week that are going to talk about how to prepare for this, and from a county perspective, what do counties need to do to do this process, and from a provider's perspective, what do community providers need to do. So all of that information's to come. We're just going to get your toes wet just a tiny bit right now, and then hang tight. Over the next couple of weeks, we have 3 more webinars coming out, plus a video that'll walk you through how to do these things. Here's an example of what we're asking for in the portal. This is what we're asking for a submission for a county approval or for a provider certification. So we have one of the wraparound standards. These are the standards that have been on our UC Davis site for a long time. They're now officially here, solid. This is it. We've taken draft off of these standards, and here they are. So it's laid out by standards. You can see the wraparound standards there. this is wraparound standard 3.3. We have the standard, and then before it, we're asking you to tell us, are your procedures aligned with this? Like, how is your agency doing this? And we've broken out the standard into those checkbox steps. And below that, we've given you a place to describe. So describe what your organization does, and then cite it for us. So give us a supporting document that demonstrates alignment with the standard, and then in your description, cite it for us. Tell us where to find that information, because we cannot read 500 pages from everybody of stuff hunting for things. You're just going to give us like, hey, in page 2 of this policy, it says that we do a strengths, needs, and culture development. Great, awesome. So this is kind of where we're at. Again, we're not going to get super detailed here, but but this is what it will look like.
So who should be submitting? We want all 58 counties. We will need all of you to submit one plan per county that tells us how you're going to be working within your county to ensure the provision of high fidelity wraparound. So that will include collaborating with other county partners. That will also include potentially collaborating with your providers to ensure that your contracting process allows for them to really meet the high fidelity standards. So counties and providers will both be required to submit. And again, I don't know how many times we want to repeat this, but one submission per county and one provider. I know that means that many providers serve numerous counties. So for the provider perspective, we still want one submission. We want high fidelity wraparound to be high fidelity wraparound. Wherever that child is, we want them to know that they're getting the same service. So we do not want to see major differences between counties. So your high fidelity wraparound program should be your high fidelity wraparound program for all counties, and we should have one submission per county and per provider. And I said this in the beginning, but again, I want to repeat, this is not exclusive to aftercare at this point in time. That is where we are legally required, but we very much encourage other providers to become certified if you want to be able to demonstrate and talk about that you meet California's high fidelity wraparound standards. We're even talking about developing a little bit of a logo or a webinar branding or a website branding, so you can put it along your accreditations and be able to really use that to demonstrate that you are a certified high fidelity wraparound provider. So this again is open to all high fidelity wraparound providers who would like to be certified. It is required for aftercare providers 12 months from the release of the letter, so next July. Then we're going to go a little bit into the county approval process. So the counties are required to utilize the California high fidelity wraparound model in consultation with your ILT. We want you to work with your children's system of care and in the context of the integrated core practice model. There are lots of materials enabled to support you to do this. We also are really encouraging county child welfare, probation, MHPs, and tribes as applicable to work together to determine what your plan and your submission will be for your county. So I hope you all are ready to do a little bit of collaboration and working together, because that is what we're going to be looking for in your county submissions. You can go to the next slide.
Hang on, it's a little.
Okay. I know that in the next, okay, we're having a little bit of a delay. So through the contracting process, we are asking that within 12 months, so by next July, that counties are contracting with certified high fidelity wraparound providers. We understand that the contracting process can be long, that you can get caught up in board of supervisors. So please just communicate with your consultant here at DSS if you are in the process and just experiencing some delays in contracting. We understand that it's kind of, and we are here to support and provide assistance to counties and providers in meeting this requirement. We are also going to be asking that counties and providers who are not quite prepared to meet the standards participate in technical assistance. So we will offer technical assistance through UC Davis Resource Center for Family Focused Practice and the DSS team here, who will be able to help you develop the policies and procedures that you need in order to meet the standards. So we are here to provide the support and assistance that everybody needs to get there. So we are asking you all to participate in that process. If you submit your proposal and you're not quite there, then we will be requiring technical assistance to get you to the finish line. There are specific requirements in the cases of Indian children who are going to be served through Wraparound. So in the cases of an Indian child, the County Child Welfare Agency Probation and Mental Health Plan must consult with the Indian child's tribe in the coordination of aftercare. I also want to tap Kayla into this for a brief moment. We have held a tribal wraparound work group, and we've had some learnings and have started developing some additional materials. So I want to tap Kayla really quick.
Thanks, Danny. So I just wanted to point out, as we consider aftercare coordination for Indian children, it is critical to remember that it's not just a best practice, it's a legal requirement under the Indian Child Welfare Act, and also are under the Welfare and Institution section, which is 224.1. Both ICWA and California laws require ongoing, meaningful consultation with tribes. So throughout all stages of case planning, including aftercare. This isn't just a one-time checkbox. It's something that should be continuous throughout the process for tribes, authority and expertise in supporting children and families. And so I also wanted to share with you all the ICWA DES reference as a resource. It's going to be located in the document and also dropped in the chat. It's a helpful tool developed to support understanding of ICWA requirements. It includes legal timelines. It has a lot of good information for you to peruse through and just kind of, read to learn more. We also have the tribal affairs, where if you have any questions, you can reach out to them, and I'll also drop their email in the chat as well. They also have a website, and definitely encourage you to check out their website as well. They have a lot of good information and resources as well. And I'll go ahead and pass it back to Danny.
Thanks, Kayla. And I think Sarah's going to jump in here.
Yes, thank you, Danny. To speak more about cultural reference for Indian children, aftercare services must be culturally relevant in accordance with ACL 2418. Some examples are healing circles, powwows, and parenting programs. And go to the next slide.
So quick question, STRTPs or CTFs as high fidelity wraparound providers, can the STRTP or CTF be the provider? Yes, our answer is yes, especially when that is best interest of the child, when they're staying close by. We do encourage the STRTP or CTF to be the high fidelity wraparound provider when that's appropriate for the youth. We think it's great for continuity of care. So we encourage counties to work with STRTPs and CTFs on this. Also, I just want to jump in real quick because I saw a question. When I say provider, I do mean the community-based organizations, nonprofit organizations who are providing services. I do not mean individual mental health providers, right? I understand that we can use that word in numerous meanings, but what I mean is the community-based organization or nonprofit organizations providing services. And our county approved process, we have divided this up into a few steps. So step one is collaborate with your MHP, your child welfare, and your probation departments. Consult with your ILT. Then we want you to work through the portal. You need to complete the portal requirements and submit one plan no later than 12 months from the release of the ACL. So by next July, July 15th was the day it actually was published. Step three, get notified of approval or your need for more information within 90 days. So we are committing to a 90-day turnaround on letting you know if your submission meets our requirements or if you will require additional technical assistance to get your documents up to what we're looking for. And step four, if you are not able to demonstrate compliance with the standards, participate in all of the technical assistance. So we know some people might submit complete documentation and achieve certification on your first try. We also know many of you might want or require a technical assistance to get there, and we are here to provide that and to really help give the support that's necessary to get providers and counties to the certification finish line.
We see hands up. I see your hand, Brian. We are going to hold to the end, and we'll absolutely give time for questions at the end. I know we're probably getting into the part where a lot of you have questions and a lot of things. You can drop them in the chat now, and we'll grab them and circle back on them. And then just know, and then we'll also give time for you to raise hand at the end and ask questions away. If we don't get to your question today, we are still grabbing them, and we are going to use them for planning our future webinars, future advisory committee meetings, and future guidance that we put out. Or it means that we, don't quite have those answers yet. Specifically, when speaking to some of those things we talked about that are coming in the next couple of years, we might not have all the details ready and available for answering that yet. But bear with us. We're about to dump a ton of information on you all, and then we will have some time for some questions at the end.
Okay, so we can move on to the next slide, Rebecca. Thanks. For counties that contract out for wraparound, we know that there are going to be some variances in how this works, right? Some counties are going to provide wraparound. In that case, you really need to demonstrate how your program is going to meet high fidelity wraparound standards. When you contract out, we're going to ask that the county demonstrate how you hold all contracted providers accountable for meeting each standard and requirement. We want you to identify where in your supporting documentation the provider is tasked with meeting the standard and how the county will oversee and support the provider in meeting that standard. So we are not just looking for provider materials. We really want to know how you will be working with your providers to meet these standards and requirements, and how you'll be collaborating on the standards that require really that coordination between the county and the provider organization. Another pop quiz question for aftercare contracts. Can counties contract with a provider for aftercare who is not certified? Beginning next July, no. Providers will need to be certified as a high fidelity wraparound provider in order to be contracted. We will be working through this process to ensure that counties know who is going through the process. And you may have the opportunity to join in TA as appropriate to work with your contracted providers, because we know that these are going to have to be provided at the same time, right? We're going to have a parallel process going on where we know that counties are going to be working on your plans and contracts, and the providers are going to be going through certification at the same time. So we understand we're on a parallel track, and we will work to help coordinate all of that between counties and providers who are going through the application or the TA process. But next summer will be your timeline. And I'm going to turn it over to Sarah.
Thanks, Danny. A little bit about funding requirements. County child welfare and probation departments must coordinate to ensure funding is leveraged to provide at least 6 months of aftercare services. Funding for aftercare services was allocated to placing agencies for 6 months per youth, plus an additional month for engagement, transition planning, and relationship building. Next slide, please.
Sorry, a little delay on
That's
my.
okay.
There we go.
Thank you. So make friends and share your funding. Aftercare / high fidelity wraparound should be funded by Braiding. Who should be the lead agency that submits? We don't know. Take it to your team. As you may know, your funding sources through child welfare and Medi-Cal dollars, as well as county general realignment dollars. Use your aftercare dollars first before tapping into your general funds. Next slide.
And all of those links are going into the chat right now as Sarah speaks.
Thank you, Jenny. FAQ question, continuing high fidelity wraparound past 6 months. Can high fidelity wraparound services be extended beyond the 6-month requirement for aftercare services? The answer is yes. Counties are encouraged to utilize other funding sources to continue provision of high fidelity wraparound beyond the 6-month requirement. Counties are also encouraged to offer high fidelity wraparound to youth and families who may not be eligible for FFPSA Part 4 aftercare, but who may benefit from high fidelity wraparound, as long as the youth meets eligibility criteria for the service. Next slide. FAQs on funding. How do we learn more about funding high fidelity wraparound services?
We do have a list of webinars as well as CFLs that are posted on our webpage. Those are all also going into the chat. Please familiarize yourself with all of the various CFLs. There are CFLs related to claiming for wraparound services in general. There is a CFL specifically on aftercare. There is a letter that goes out every year for counties to child welfare agencies on what is your aftercare specific allocation. So that is also going to be dropped in the chat for you. Please read through those CFLs and understand how much your county is allocated specifically for aftercare. We also anticipate that you would match that with Medi-Cal funding for the service. So that is not intended to be 100%. That is intended to be half of your allocation for aftercare services. We also have a webinar that was filmed several years ago, and it's still pretty relevant, and that is also linked. So you can go back and watch that. You can watch it several times if you need. I have. So there are a series of documents and resources available. If you have questions on funding, please put those in the chat, and we can ensure that the finance team at DSS can get to those and get questions back out to the field.
Really quick before we move on, I just want to address, I've seen a few times in a few comments in the chat wondering about where to find webinars. If you go to our webinar page, our team will drop the link in the chat. It's also on the resource document that we're handing out. And it's where you would have gone to register for this webinar. We have all of our upcoming webinars. And then if you scroll down, we have all of our past webinars there. And that's where this recording will be. Once we're done with this webinar, it'll post in the next couple of days. And then all of the past webinars, including this one that we're speaking to about fiscal, are all there on that same website. And so will the resources from today's webinars will be posted with that as well. All right. So let's talk a little bit about the provider certification. So that we just went through where the county requirements. We're going to shift gears a little bit, talk about what do our community providers need to do. Again, here's broken down into steps in the most simplified form possible. Step one, collaborate. Same as county. We're asking providers, collaborate, go amongst your sites. If you have multiple sites across the state, then we're asking you to get together, come up with a unified high fidelity wraparound plan and submit that. If you have differences across, like you're like, oh, our county contracts require us to do it this way in this county and slightly different in a different county, that's okay. You can speak to that in your description of practice, little section. And we want you to say, but this is our model. This is our agency's model that we deliver, and we adjust it when counties require. But otherwise, we're looking for that unified. Again, the point of this, and really what we're trying to do with this high fidelity wraparound model and with this letter, is to unify wraparound and really promote that fidelity, that consistency across the state. Step two would be to submit for certification as soon as possible, or at least by 12 months, in order to obtain a county contract for aftercare services. We're saying as soon as possible because counties need to be contracting within that 12 months. And so the sooner the better if you're a provider, right? You have that timeline, it's up to you. We're not going to say exactly when you need to submit. It has to be before that 12 months, but really the sooner the better. And it's a long process. If you jump in that portal and go through it and look at it, it is a long process. So the sooner you can start, the better. You will get notified of either an incomplete submission or your certification within 90 days. So once you submit, our team has 90 days to review and make a determination of whether or not you'll be certified. And then all of this you'll be notified in the portal and on email. It's all built into there. So the Resource Center for Family Focused Practice determines certification when all of the wraparound standards have been met by the provider. So when you go through that form and all the check boxes are checked, all the standards are met, you're showing every bit of that is covered, right? And you've completed all of the portal requirements again. So we're looking for full completion, no blanks, filling that out all the way. Once everything is complete and we have the supporting documentation alongside that, then we'll determine certification.
So what happens if you do not get certified? If you do not get certified, you will not be eligible to obtain a county contract to provide aftercare services. Any counties that you are contracting with will be notified that you did not complete the certification process. But it's just a reminder, technical assistance will be available to help you reach certification. Our hope is that everybody who wants to be a certified high fidelity wraparound provider is able to get there. And we are providing the support that it will take to get you there. But if things are not going on track, if we're not getting there, then we will be notifying counties. We will also be gathering a list, and a list of certified providers will be available on the DSS website once we really get going with the certification process, so that counties can go back and reference who is certified. The same with, the community will be able to look and understand which providers are certified wraparound providers and which are not. Recertification. So a provider must apply for recertification every 3 years from their initial certification date. Our plan, our hope and intent with all of this is that when you submit your application, it will be locked, but that we would be able to unlock that and you can just provide updates as necessary. So we're not necessarily looking to ask you to redo the entire process every 3 years, unless you've had substantial changes to your program, your policies and procedures, trainings, or things that need to be re-uploaded. But we're hoping to be able to just continue utilizing the same portal and the same platform. So one, save your login credentials is a nice reminder, because you will be able to continue to use that and just provide the updates every 3 years as necessary. And decertification. Providers may become decertified by Department of Social Services or its designee based on criteria that will be developed by DSS and DHCS in forthcoming guidance. So we do not have this specified at this time. That will come at a later point in time. This would include providers who do not recertify by their required 3-year date. If a provider is decertified by the forthcoming guidance, then we would notify the counties and the provider within 48 hours. The provider and the contracting county must develop a transition plan to support the continuity of care for the youth in that county. And due process. For providers who do not receive certification or who are decertified, you may request a second level review. To request a second level view, you would coordinate with CDSS or UC Davis Resource Center for Family Practice and first understand what happened, why you are being decertified or not certified in the first place. And then we will perform a second level review of your submission materials by staff at DSS who have not been a part of the initial process. So a separate team would be part of a secondary review if you are denied certification. You can go ahead and email wraparoundquestions at dss.ca.gov should you choose to initiate that process. Again, related to the due process, we will provide written communication within 30 calendar days from the request of the provider, and we will notify any counties with whom the provider has a contract with that review determination. So decisions from the second level review shall serve as the final decision for certification. Non-aftercare submissions. If you're a provider who is not planning to contract for aftercare, can you still submit through the portal? And the answer is yes. We would love to have all of you submit and be able to demonstrate that you meet high fidelity wraparound requirements, even if you are not going to be achieving a contract in the first 12 months. Though I will say you have a little more time and a little more leeway at your discretion of your timeliness on doing that. That portal will remain open in perpetuity. You do not have to apply within the first 12 months. So if you wanted to start working on it, but you were not contracting for aftercare and you need more than 12 months, that's great. This will also, the portal will be available and you can achieve certification next year, the year following. This will be an ongoing process that will always be open to new providers who seek certification. And is the provider certification for high fidelity aftercare services the same thing as Medi-Cal certification for high fidelity wraparound. This is the county plan approval and provider certification process for aftercare. Certification being via the portal will be the first step in being certified as a provider for aftercare services, and then later as a immediate needs provider and then rate structure. DHCS and DSS will seek to maximize the alignment and procedures that follow through the Medi-Cal portions of high fidelity wraparound and through the immediate needs program. DHCS is developing a process for providers, and it will be described in forthcoming DHCS guidance. So we know, again, that there is a lot more to come, and we understand that that might feel like a lot, and that there's a lot that's still coming ahead of us. So we recognize that, but this is really the DSS designation at this point in time.
All right, we can talk about, so what is the STRTP and the CTF role in all of this? And we'll take a few minutes to talk through this here. I want to start out by saying, number one, your role is to help make this process go as smoothly as possible, right? So it's already been required that our youth transitioning out of an STRTP or a CTF get aftercare wraparound, and it's the 6 months plus the 30 days for transition time. First and foremost, we're asking STRTPs help out the wraparound teams by starting that collaboration as early as possible. And this really is, I'm saying STRTPs, but it really is the whole county together. We need the social worker as well. Like, how do you get wraparound services into that STRTP, into the CTF as soon as possible? So that when those payment timeline starts, when that 30-day transition starts, we are starting with collaboration, coordination of services, and planning for that kiddo to step down versus we're using that 30 days just to get a referral done and figure out how to get the wraparound team involved. Right. So your requirements plan, so provide for, arrange, or assist in the development of a individualized family-based aftercare support plan. So make a plan, know where this kid's going and what does that look like and how we're going to get aftercare involved. And then you should be including the QI recommendations along with the wraparound provider. So keeping all that in mind, again, just this is a high level of planning and coordination and collaboration that we're asking for. And this is done within the conjunction with the CFT. So collaborate with your CFT. Begin planning for transition when the youth is initially placed. So the moment that kid steps into an STRTP or a CTF, we're asking, let's start talking about that transition plan. What does this look like? What are we going to do? And so again, we have plenty of time to get all the services and supports in place before that youth steps down. This the aftercare allocation and this aftercare plan is really meant to be streamlined, smooth, highly coordinated process. What we don't want to have happen is, oh, you're going home, wraparound provider, go chase them down, and in the meantime, kiddos left and lost on their own. And then you're just supporting that coordination, assisting with that youth transition, and coordinating with the high fidelity wraparound provider, ensuring that continuity of care and ensuring that successful reintegration to a family-based setting. Again, we mentioned this in the FAQ earlier, going to reiterate it. Sometimes the STRTP could be the high fidelity wraparound aftercare provider. We don't have a requirement that says that counties have to use an STRTP as a high fidelity wraparound provider if they are certified, but we do encourage you for continuity of care. If your STRTP is certified as a high fidelity wraparound provider and they can provide the aftercare services for that youth, great, that's awesome. We do encourage and appreciate that. However, we're not requiring that to be the case.
Rebecca, can you just clear up CFT as child and family teaming?
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. CFT, child and family team. I know we got our acronyms and we try to avoid them, and our slides are a little big. Okay, so we just went through like the bulk of the letter, and then we're going to talk about the last few things that we have, the last few pieces that are involved in this. And I'm going to highlight really quickly the appendices here. These are tools, resources, great things to look at and read through. The first, Appendix A, is the high fidelity California wraparound standards that I mentioned earlier. So those standards establish principles, phases, and key elements that are required for high fidelity wraparound. That is also those are the standards on which this approval and certification process are built. So definitely start reviewing those even before you get into the portal. It would be a really good idea to take a look, go through those standards and start thinking about, how does my organization align with these? What are some areas where I need to maybe, or we need to start planning around, where we might have to change some practice or change how we do things? And then what are the easy ones that we already know and we already have a policy in place, and that's great. So that's where I would start in all of this, just Appendix A, go through those wraparound standards and really start thinking about, where do we have alignment? Where do we need to do some work? Appendix B is the high fidelity wraparound training requirements and curriculum. So it outlines what are the requirements for initial and ongoing training. That includes having all staff do some sort of foundational wraparound training. You have several options for doing that training. Again, that's in the All County letter. We're going to have a webinar on that as well in September that'll talk a little bit more in depth about how do you develop a training plan and what does that look like for us to get going. Where CFT facilitation training is in there, as well as the training on the IP cans. So again, that's all in the All County letter. You can read it. It's also in the wraparound standards. And then we'll have future webinars that talk in more detail about what does that look like. And then Appendix C is our continuous quality improvement and evaluation section. So this just talks about the status and our vision for our statewide CQI plan. We are working towards some sort of statewide wraparound CQI plan. We currently have a wraparound CQI pilot project that Chris Petty, who's on the screen somewhere in the crowd, has been leading and partnering with our wraparound research and evaluation and research team, our work team, and several counties and providers who are also on this webinar, I'm sure, have been participating in that, piloting out and looking at how we're going to get statewide data for wraparound. So that is coming soon. And also, again, it talks about this. Part of the requirements and part of the standards is to start collecting some data and fidelity. And you can see that again in the ACL and in the wraparound standards. And then in Appendix D, we have your resources. So we've been dropping resources in the chat as we go. We also have lots and lots and lots of resources on our UC Davis website. And some of those resources are directly in the ACL. You can pull up the ACL, scroll to Appendix D, start clicking around in there. It has your links and things. And then this is the page that we have up on here, our California Wraparound Standards Toolkit. This is where we're posting all the tools, resources, tips, tricks, anything we can get to support you guys. We are putting it in this toolkit. So if you're not familiar with this toolkit, please do log in, jump in, and start looking around in there. We have a page on this toolkit that's dedicated to certification. It has your instructions for the portal. It talks about what you need to create a profile. We will be posting coming soon a recording of how to navigate the portal and how to use the portal. We have more resources on what the retraining requirements are and how do you access the UC Davis curriculum for foundational wraparound. All of those different resources and things are on our website in our toolkit. If you jump into that main certification page, you will see it. You can also get to our technical assistance. Kind of all roads lead to technical assistance if you need it. So it's all there. You can find that on our main wraparound page. We have a page dedicated just to technical assistance and looking through our different levels, from attending these webinars, which you're already doing, to coming to our technical assistance office hours, which we will be launching this Friday. And so that's, again, on the resource docs in your links. Come to those office hours. There'll be follow-up from each webinar, and we're going to be doing the next 9 weeks. We're going to have every Friday. There'll be some time for folks to come in, ask questions, all those things. We have technical assistance on there, and then we have various resources that have been developed by our wraparound community on this toolkit. So start here, look through it, start poking around. Again, don't just dive in this kind of blind and in the dark. We have the resources here for you. We have the supports in place, and we want to make sure that you all feel supported in this process, and that you have what you need to get this done. So start here in the toolkit, and then, work your way through as you head to the portal. Appendix E of the ACL has the portal instructions. As I mentioned before, they're also on our toolkit, and they're also in the portal. So this is a screenshot of the portal. When you log in and you create your profile, this is what you will see. You'll have an account page. You'll have the ability on the bottom here where it says edit form. That's like, I've already started a form. If you're just logging in for the first time, it's going to say start here, right? Start form. This is where you start. And then if you're looking for like, oh, I need those instructions again, what am I supposed to do? We actually have them on this little icon here with the eye and the circle. We have and then we have your resources built it right in here. And then you can see on top of the portal as well, we have FAQs, resources, link right back to the wraparound toolkit that we already referenced, and then link right to our technical assistance. So you have the supports and the things in place. It does take a minute to get used to. I mean, anytime you're on a new website, right? It's like figuring out where is it organized, how does it look. So again, we encourage you as you start to get in and to dive in, poke around a bit, take your time, go through these different resources, take a look, and hopefully with the instructions being those 3 or 4 different places, it makes it super easy, and try to make your life as easy as possible, because we know this is going to be quite a lot to do. All right. So now that we've gotten through all of this massive amounts of content, we're going to very, very quickly, we're like, all right, this is going to be the information dump. Now we're going to move to some Q&A and answering questions. So our team is going to pull up the questions that have been being dropped in the chat. And then we'll also have, if you have a question you want to ask out loud, absolutely feel free to jump in. We ask you to just use the raise hand feature. We will call on you, and then we'll do that. In the meantime, Donna is going to read out what they have. And while we talk and while we do this, don't forget, if you go into our wraparound portal or into if you go into the portal or into the toolkit, we have a link to an FAQ document that has some of these answers as well. And over time, as we get these questions and start answering them, we will build and update our resources. All right, I'm going to stop share, and then we'll go ahead and let Brian, I know you've been waiting to answer, so go ahead and jump in, sir.
Thank you. I actually put one in the chat, but I have another one. So for counties that don't provide direct services, the services are provided through contracted providers. In the presentation, you said that the county has to demonstrate how will they ensure that providers are doing what they're supposed to be doing. It seems like the answer would be very redundant for each of those standards by saying, well, we do contract monitoring on a monthly basis. And I would imagine you'd get really tired of reading that same response for like the 100 entries that are in there. So what do you think?
Yeah, no, I appreciate you asking that, Brian. So what we're looking for is a little more detail. So yes, we expect that, right? You're gonna contract monitor. That's the answer we're expecting. What we want to see is the specifics of, we are monitoring that providers are doing strengths through the contract by XYZ, and then tell us where to look at that. Like if you're uploading a contract as a sample, cool, tell us where to find that information. So we want it to be more specific and not a general answer that says, oh, we just monitor their contracts and they do wraparound, but really for each standard, how are you showing each and every standard? When we're talking about data, how are you guys sharing data together as a community and a provider? You'll notice that there's administrative standards in the second half. So standards section 7 through 10 are much more sort of county heavy things. They're more like, show us your leadership process, show us a data plan for the county. Those are things that are very actively done for the county. And then for the other things, if it's your providers doing that, we just want that specifics of like, we are intending to this detail of this specific thing.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay,
Should I ask you the one that I put in the chat? It's related.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
So I understand that the counties can't be certified until all of the providers with whom they contract are certified. Is that correct?
No, I think I'll let Danny hop in.
Okay.
Yeah, we are not dictating a timeline process to all of this. We know that this is a lot to fit into 12 months. So you can work within your county and work collaboratively to do whatever makes sense for your county. We didn't want to provide too many guidelines, knowing that counties might work differently and what works for one county might not work for another. So you have the ability to decide amongst yourselves what you think is most effective for you in order to make this process go along. My guess is you're probably going to have to all be working at the same time, but I will again let you guys decide what is best for your specific county and the way you operate.
And I would just add to that, we encouraged providers especially to jump right in and start their submission, because we know that contract processes can be very long and are different for every county. So we do encourage, not to wait until 9 months from now and then start, to go ahead and get in there and start that process so you can become certified, and then there's no delay in that contracting process. But really, because these are separate processes for counties and providers, there's no need for like any kind of timeline between those two entities.
Thank you.
And we know that 12 months is fast. Sorry.
Yeah.
You're fine.
We know that 12 months is real fast. And so we're trying to this is the requirement. This is what we all have to do. This is what's in statute. And how do we try to make this as easy as possible for you all and give as much flexibility as we can where we can. And that's why we're not dictating who starts first or who has to do what. Just get in there and get it done. Right?
Yes. And I just saw in the chat pop up. So can a provider be certified without the county being certified first? So yes, the provider can go first if that's just what makes sense. If you're ready to go ahead and go. We are not requiring that the counties be certified first and then the providers. You all just have the opportunity to work on your timelines and work within your counties and determine what makes sense as you all collaboratively work together.
And also, counties are not being certified. They are just being approved. Yes. So it is a little bit different and a different process.
Thank you, Amy. Mm-hmm.
All right. First question. Is there a contact list for our lovely consultants? Yes, I'm dropping it here in the chat for you. Next question that came in is, as a member of the Department of Behavioral Health and a provider of Wraparound, will we be submitting a county plan with social services and a separate provider certification?
So for providers or for counties that both contract and provide their own services, you're still submitting one plan. And so you're going to speak to both in your plan. You're going to talk about your joints together. This is what we do. This is how we contract. And then when we provide the wraparound services directly, this is what we do. So no matter what the different iteration is, it's still one plan per county, one plan per provider.
Excellent. Sorry, I lost my place. I apologize. How can we make sure that we are on that email list for notifications and updates related to Medi-Cal high fidelity wraparound? If you are here in this space, you will get an email letting you know anything related to high fidelity wraparound, both CDSS, DHCS, and the RCFFP. And I know that is a lot of acronyms, but hopefully we'll know. I'll put them in the chat. Have been very collaborative, speaking with each other and trying to send the same emails out to all the communities simultaneously. So if you are not on one list, but on another, you will get some type of confirmation and notification. Next question is, if you would like to be a DHCS subscriber or a BH stakeholder, updates and, oh, sorry, here it is. Here's updates. My apologies. Here's the answer. Question number 4. Do we foresee that the DHCS standards to be different? It seems their staffing is different in some preliminary meetings.
Can you ask that question again? I'm sorry.
Yes, it says, do we foresee DHCS standards being different? It seems their staffing is different in some of the preliminary meetings.
Just someone from DS there.
I can jump in on that.
There is an answer, Donna. Are you able to see it?
I am. Here we go. Thank you. DHCS will be releasing future guidance around high fidelity wraparound model standards. The goal is to provide fidelity to the model without requiring unnecessary steps, and DHCS is working closely with CDSS to achieve that. I'm going to put that in the chat for you all right now as well. Thank you for seeing that in the document. I apologize.
And I also saw Erica come off mute, and I just wanted to see if you wanted to add anything.
Oh, thank you. That's essentially what you shared is what I was going to say. And then also, just since I'm speaking right now, just to the previous comment about the comment paper and how to find out, I just a short update to share that we're really within probably several days of getting that released. So happy to report that and be on the lookout.
Awesome. Thank you. Next question is, we work with 18 counties providing post-adoption wraparound services. We created a profile, so we may need some guidance on what to do.
Awesome. So if you're in that boat, you're like, oh man, I've looked through the resources, I've attended the webinars. The next step is go to our TA office hours. And then if you're still confused, reach out to us for technical assistance. You can submit a request. We have an Airtable form. You fill it out. We get in touch with you. We'll ask you some more questions. More than likely, we'll ask you some questions. What are you looking for? Or how's that? And then we'll pull together the right people and resources to support you in that.
And also, on August 5th, we are having our next webinar series of prepping for certification. We will have Manuel Lua joining us from Victor Community Services, also another large organization who works and has providers across the state of California. And he's going to be speaking specifically to how he is looking at prepping for certification as a large organization. That is August 5th from 9 to 11, and we'll drop that link in the chat for you all to be able to register as well.
And the big takeaway we want you all to hear is that this is probably going to be a start. The number one place for county provider, regardless, is to start is collaborating within your organizations to say, if we're working with 18 different counties, that means our office has a lot of work to do to talk about what do we do in each county and what is our unified model going to be? What is the Victor Community Support Services model going to be? What is insert providers here model going to be? And start planning and developing that now as you start getting ready and going through the portal.
And I do want to mention too, also for those of you county representatives, we have our second follow-up webinar on August 6th from 1 to 3 is county prepping for certification. And Gavin O'Sullivan will be joining us from Placer County and speaking to how they're looking at prepping for certification specifically. So providers on August 5th from 9 to 11 and counties on August 6th from 1 to 3. We'll drop those links in the chat for you as well.
And the TA office hours will also be provided as an opportunity for peer sharing, for discussing, chatting with DSS, with RCFFP, as well as all of the other folks who joined the call to share how you are all learning and doing this together. And we might be dropping themes for those down the line as we start to figure out what your question themes are. We can have TA office hours on specific elements that you all are concerned about. So stay tuned for what those sessions are as we roll this out. So they'll be every Friday for the next 2 months.
Yes, and I just dropped the link for the first technical assistance opportunity, which is this Friday from 2 to 3:30. The registration link is in the chat for you. And like Danny said, they'll be every Friday following. Each registration is individual, so you'll have to go in and register for each office hour you would like to attend. Okay, thank you. We were told to have one county sponsor us as we've been gathering the information required for certification. I'm heading this process, so specific information would be very helpful.
You're gonna have to ask me that one more time. Sorry, Mike.
Says, thank you. We were told to have one county sponsor. And they've been gathering the information required for certification. This person is heading this process, so specific information would be very helpful from a county perspective.
Absolutely.
Yes.
There's twofold things. So yes, that's great. you do want to pick one person, right? So if you're child welfare and your behavioral health, your probation, all three of you are going to need to work together to talk, to collaborate about this, and then pick how you're going to upload it. Again, one profile, one submission per county. So you're going to need to appoint person. We really recommend that you make your login in the portal something that more than one person can access, right? So your organization name is your username, a password that's okay and able to be shared or something like that, right? So come up with a plan for how everybody's going to access, or if one person's going to do, if you're going to do everything offline, and then one person does that work of actually going in and submitting and doing that. So it sounds like you've already started that. That's great. And then for like the guidance on specific standards or what to do next, it really is like start going through that portal and look at like, do we have this in writing somewhere? What documentation do we have? What can support what we're doing? Can we speak to each one of the standards? Can we start checking those boxes? We have and this is a very large we, as in like the CWAC and the Wraparound Steering Committee and our state partners and us at the Resource Center, like have all worked hard to really look at, we don't want to prescribe so much that everybody loses their flexibility and Wraparound ceases to become Wraparound because nobody can do anything flexible because we told you exactly what to do in every single step and exactly how to meet these standards. So we're trying to walk that line of how do we make sure that this stays individualized and true to Wraparound, because Wraparound is individualized, and then how do we give you guys enough support? So if you're like, man, I am lost and I do not know how in the world we're going to do this, just reach out to us for support. That's what our teams are here. We have that technical assistance available, and we can certainly support you. And then again, as Donnie said it, and I cannot encourage enough, we have various meetings where we're going to be continuing to put out information and have collaborative spaces for counties and providers to chat with each other, as well as get information from us. And so attend the webinars that are upcoming. We have the California Wraparound Advisory Committee. Our next one is tomorrow. Attend that and just bring in that information. And then if you're still lost, again, just reach out to us and we'll help you with technical assistance. Margaret, go ahead.
Is it possible to contract with more than one wraparound provider? For instance, one that's specific to AAP families and one that is not, it's just general foster care.
Yep, absolutely. So we're not dictating who you contract with for aftercare as long as they are certified, and you can divide your contracts out however you want to do it. The requirement is that your aftercare wraparound provider has to be certified.
Got it. Thanks.
Jennifer, go ahead.
So Rebecca, you said, and I just want to clarify because I'm a little confused. So our Department of Social Services really holds most of the contracts and they contract with providers. Our probation utilizes Department of Behavioral Health, and we have our own wraparound teams that do the service. We will not certify as a provider.
Correct. You will get approved as a county.
So our services we don't have to put our policies in, or we put our policies in with the county.
You're doing it with the county and you're doing it both. So if you're a county organization, whether you are providing those services directly or you are contracting out, you're still submitting for approval and still with one unified plan. So if you're in a county with a situation like that, where it's divided out and you have some contracted services, some that are provided directly either by child welfare or behavioral health, then you're going to speak to both in your submission. You're going to say, for the kids that we contract with, or for the providers we contract with, this is what we do, and this is how we monitor, and this is how we hold accountability. This is how we support our providers to do that. And then for this population or for this situation, we provide the services directly, and here's our policies for those services. So we'll be a bit more complicated for you to do that, but it's still one submission altogether. Speaking to
some more complicated. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Okay. Can counties choose to use the STRTP if they are certified high fidelity wraparound provider?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Anne, please come in with your hand up.
Yeah, I had some questions and I'm seeing a lot in the chat. I didn't see anything in the BHIN that said that wraparound providers who provide AAP wraparound have to become high fidelity wrap providers. Can you clarify if I'm correct on that, or if that might be coming down the road?
So this letter is specific to aftercare services. We do have a meeting tomorrow called the California Wraparound Advisory Committee, and folks from the AAP team will be joining that meeting to talk specifically about AAP wraparound. So we suggest that you join our meeting tomorrow and review all of the materials that have been released from them at this point in time. But they will be joining us tomorrow. I'm seeing the link go in the chat. Please join to hear from them on that piece.
Okay. I suspect a lot of the agencies that are providing AAP wrap are also providing wrap to foster youth. So yeah.
Yes. And we also, that's why we really want to focus on that this letter is specific to aftercare, but we are open to everyone becoming certified. Anybody who would like to demonstrate to the community, to families, to counties, that you are certified as a high fidelity wraparound provider, you are welcome to submit your application and become certified. So we have a legal requirement on aftercare, but we have opened the portal for anyone in the wraparound world who would like to become certified.
And I'm seeing questions. AAP is aid to adoptive parents. It's for post-adoption youth.
Thank you.
And just to add that the benefit too, I think for providers that are not necessarily doing the aftercare right now to become certified is we will have a list posted on the UC Davis website of certified providers. So parents and counties can go there to see who is actually certified through high fidelity wraparound. So that will be coming.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and it would be a way to demonstrate since families are told to be looking for people who align with the standards. That is a way to demonstrate very clearly and specifically that you do align to the standards. So we might develop a logo or something that can be utilized by certified providers. So you have an easy way to identify yourself as a certified high fidelity wraparound provider by DSS and UC Davis.
All right, I'm going to call in Erica. This question's for you. Can you speak to how this is specific to new BHSA requirements? It seems like you are focusing on all existing ways in which high fidelity wraparound exists.
Thank you. Yes, there's high fidelity wrap is present in numerous different programs and across departments, as we've noted several times already today. So as far as the BHSA or the Behavioral Health Services Act goes, the new Behavioral Health Services Act does require that counties, through their full service partnership programs, cover a number of specific evidence-based practices, and high fidelity wrap is one of them. That's effective on July 1, 2026, as will be the new kind of coverage model that we're implementing through the Medi-Cal Specialty Mental Health Services program. And the goal is to align the programmatic requirements and policies for both. So as I mentioned earlier, we'll be putting out the high fidelity wrap concept paper in the coming days, which you'll have a chance to see, and then putting out guidance following that. And yeah, with the goal of aligning across both programs.
Thank you, Erica. We've had this question addressed and come through the chat quite often, asking if providers must be certified before counties can be certified. And we are saying, start your process. No matter if you're a provider or a county, get going. You don't have to respond to one or the other. Your submissions are separate. All right. Let's see. Is the portal registration editable? Can we change an answer if something changes?
Yep.
Yes.
So as you go through that form, everything will auto save. And you also will save when you click to a new page, or there's a button on it that's click save. Once you submit, that form will lock. So you hit click submit, it's going to lock while our team reviews it, because we can't have reviewers be reviewing while someone is in there editing, right? So don't click submit until you're really, really sure you're ready to submit and everything is done. Once we review it, if we're given it, if there's an incomplete, if we need more information, if there's something like that, we will unlock it for you. So then you can go in and edit and give us what we need to either be certified or approved. If you're certified, you're good to go. Great. You get that certification or you get that approval, that form will stay locked. When it comes to recertification, we still, 3 years from now, we'll set out some new guidance for that. The goal and the vision really is to be able to go in and now unlock some things for you to edit and do things. If you submit and you're like, oh my gosh, that was a mistake, we need to add something, we need to change something, just reach out to our team. You can email us calrapcertification.com or at UC Davis, wrong one, calrapcertification@ucdavis.edu, and say, hey, I messed up, I submitted our form too soon, or oops, we forgot something. We can unlock it for you and allow you to edit. So it's totally unlocked until you submit. And then once you submit, it will lock for us to be able to review it and not have it be changing as we're reviewing.
Yeah, and then if a year and a half later you have edits, you can hold those for your 3-year review, where you will have the opportunity to go back in and edit those materials again for your 3-year certification. And that is for the providers only, not for the counties. The counties do not need to do every 3 years.
I can add too, we have a PDF copy of what's in the portal on our UC Davis toolkit. So if you want to be able to like look and print at that, I don't really recommend that being like it's a little bit of a nightmare to read because it's just a Word doc and it's very big.
Cumbersome, for sure.
But if you need a place for information or to take notes or to see in advance,
yes, for the registration,
log into that. Sorry, what was that?
I don't know if Hannah was asking a question or just unmuted. Hannah, did you have a question in regards to the portal submission? Okay. There was a follow-up question.
No, I
too,
did
Rebecca.
not. My apologies.
No, that's okay. We're just making sure. Follow-up question in the portal. The registration question asks, please provide contact information for one point of contact in each county that you serve, and please provide the number of youth currently being served in each county. Is this county partner contact or a contract with our community-based organization who is local to the wraparound program in that county? I'll drop the question in the chat so you can see it.
Thank you.
Yes, paste.
If you are submitting as a county, we would like a county contact. If you are a provider submitting, we would like a provider contact. So basically we want who is the point of contact for this submission.
Yes, thank you, Danny.
Awesome. To confirm, counties need to be certified prior to individual provider certification. No, you will each be submitting on your own and separately. Let's see. The portal registration statement about sharing materials. How will our materials be shared or utilized, and how will we be asking about sharing specific supporting documentation, especially those that are considered internal documents to the organization?
Great question. So if you check that box, you're like, yes, I'm totally willing to share, collaborate. It does not mean we're going to just grab your stuff and start posting it on the internet or sending it to who knows what. It means that our team at UC Davis may look at it and say, you know what, this is a great example. And then if that is true, we would reach out to you and ask like, hey, do you mind? Like, this is an amazing plan of care. Do you mind if we share it with the community? Yes. And what would you want to be done with it? Do you want us to take your stuff off? Do you want us to change it? Do you want us to leave your logo on it and credit your organization for its good hard work? So nothing you submit will just be grabbed and taken away without your permission or no. It would really just be whether or not our team at Davis can.
That is a great point. Our community has been asking for resources of specific documentation for a very long time. And we thought that this would be a fantastic opportunity to see what you all have. And if you have a gold star example that could be beneficial potentially to the rest of the state of California, we're absolutely going to reach out and say, hey, can we share this? So hopefully your organization is open to letting us share that you're amazing and you have great documentation that others could potentially utilize. So awesome question. All right, and we won't share without your permission. Do counties need to resubmit their plan every so many years or only when significant changes occur?
Counties do not need to resubmit your plan every 3 years as the community-based organization providers do. But if you would like to provide updates or work with your consultant, that's great. We would love to hear your updates and know what's going on with your program.
Who is holding the contract? I know that MHP holds the Medi-Cal portion, but does child welfare probation also hold aspects of the contract?
The Child Welfare Probation Agency would be responsible for the provision of aftercare services. And that's where we know that there is sometimes going to be a divide because sometimes the Medi-Cal contract is held by behavioral health. So in those cases, there will have to be that collaboration and coordination. It's the same with the funding. I want to repeat, I think it's in the questions, but repeat that there is a funding allocation for aftercare that goes to the county child welfare department and the probation department. So county child welfare and probation have a specific allocation. You get a letter about this every year. We will drop the link so you can see what your allocation is. That is intended to be matched with Medi-Cal. So it is our expectation that in order to really meet the standards, you need both. We really have built the standards that would require that in order to provide that level of service. So we need to have the Medi-Cal services, the behavioral health services funded through the appropriate channels there, understanding that those might change in the future. And we need to have the child welfare allocation to provide all of the other flexible service funds and funding that is not provided through Medi-Cal. So we really do need the coordination between all of the departments in your county to work together to ensure that you are braiding the funding from both sources.
Thank you, Danny. Can we attend the office hours just to listen in if we don't have a particular question? Yes, of course. Please attend all and any spaces. Be a fly on the wall, listen. You might get some beneficial information or hear it again to be helpful. Take advantage of all of the different resources and opportunities to come and gather as much information as possible and resources. So yes, you don't have to ask any questions. Locke, please come in.
Going with CWDA. One of the particular aspects about this, which I find really intriguing, is that there is a lot of push towards making sure that there's a lot of collaboration here. The one thing that I wanted to sort of ask as well is if you could help us sort of rhetorically also, is that there are also other systems also coordinating care once a youth leaves the SRTP, et cetera. One main avenue, and I'll put that in the chat, is that if the youth has Medi-Cal managed care, and it doesn't matter actually if they are foster youth, but Medi-Cal managed care is required to do what's called transitional care services. And this includes any individuals leaving what they call residential or treatment facilities, which includes SRTPs, et cetera. So in that vein, they are also helping to coordinate links to community services, links to other enhanced care management providers, community supports, and things of this nature. And the way that this is written initially makes it sound as if the sole responsibility for any type of aftercare services, the large aftercare, not specific to this, is through Wraparound, high fidelity wrap. So if you can help us, and again, it's more rhetorical, just to include partners and others that may be beneficial to the foster youth in doing this. For example, on page 6, you list, on page 6 of the ACL, you list as part of the community leadership team, family, system partners, tribal reps, et cetera. But within system partners, you don't necessarily talk about Medi-Cal managed care and, in essence, the child's core health team to be able to really enhance the breadth and depth of opportunities for not only high fidelity wrap, but also other types of services outside of high fidelity wrap as well.
So I'll leave it if DHCS or CDSS wants to jump in a little bit more on the ACL piece, but part of this is that if you look through those wraparound standards, it's all about care coordination and really, really good care coordination. That's what wraparound does at the heart of everything. So if you have those other programs and services in place, that's what your wraparound team should be doing. They should be bringing everyone together. So along with that child and family team, you're all working together. The child and family team will have been doing hopefully that coordination and those things and that planning ahead of time before that kid even gets into the wraparound aftercare services. Once that wraparound team gets involved, then they're supporting the child and family team with that. And there's meant to be the specialist in saying, who's involved with this kiddo? What services do they have? What do they need? And filling the gaps mainly. So their job is to coordinate and collaborate and figure out what services does this kiddo already have and what do they need? How do we bring them all to the table together? And how do we make a really strong plan for this kid that everybody knows exactly who's doing what does this kiddo need? Who's carrying it out, who's responsible for which referral, who's responsible for doing which thing, and we're all talking together and the kid never receives, like, I have this service over here and they never have once talked to this service over here, right? Those are the gaps that we're trying to avoid and trying to fill with saying, hey, this is wraparound and here's in the standards. Their job is to create a unified plan that we're all aware of and working on together.
Richard Connect will also be at those prepping for certification and approval webinars, speaking to exactly this point here, the importance of collaborative systems of care and integrated core practice model and what that looks like. So please don't forget to join us for that. Okay. Can high fidelity wraparound aftercare be provided for youth aging out of an existing STRTP, opting into extended foster care? Can this be a service part of extended foster care?
Do we have an answer from our team on that? I might need to take that one back. We'll take that one back and get back to you guys.
We'll add it to the FAQ. Absolutely. Highlight that one, Lizzie. Are the child welfare and probation allocations intending to support the non-federal share of SMHS, or are there other requirements to use for that funding?
Sorry, can you repeat that again? I'm having too many inputs.
I'll put it in the chat for you as well. Are there child welfare and probation? Oh, shoot, I cut it. Paste, my bad. Here we go. Uh-oh. I made a boo-boo.
Was it related to the aftercare allocation?
I'm so sorry. I literally cut it instead of copied. I apologize. Oh no.
I can just say it out loud if that's
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hit Control Z and it should pop back up too.
I guess because there's a further chat about it at the bottom. So
Thank
just
you.
to
Thank you, Jody.
summarize, I guess just wondering about the intention. Like earlier, Danny, you stated that it is intended to be used as the match for Medi-Cal, also recognizing the need for flex funds. But is there any guidance or forthcoming guidance as to how those child welfare and probation funds should be allocated in terms of the non-federal share, since the additional allocations are for the placing agencies, but the MHPs don't have additional sources of funding to cover?
We have not covered the non-federal share, and we can submit that question to fiscal to get a answer at further time. Generally, what we're talking about is wanting to be able to provide the Medi-Cal component as well as providing all of the other flexible services that need to be provided for aftercare. So at this point in time, that's what we're going to focus on. And again, we will send additional questions to fiscal. There will also be further guidance that comes out as we continue to develop out what the new rate will look like. That DHCS is working on, that will be unveiled next summer. So there's still a lot of work to be done on that component.
Okay, just to, clarify, when you're saying it's intended also to support Medi-Cal, I think we might just be saying the same thing if it's the non-federal share for special mental health provision of Medi-Cal.
Okay.
Is that right?
I'm sorry, Jody, I don't know that I can answer that one right now.
Okay.
Yes, I mean, what we're talking about is the provider being able to bill Medi-Cal for services. And perhaps this is just a knowledge gap with myself of getting into the very specific nuance of how all of that works. But we would be looking for providers and counties to be working together to utilize the child welfare allocation and using Medi-Cal. I would have to dig back through the CFLs or contact our fiscal team around the specific nuances of how that actually happens at the county level.
Erica,
And then I
do
just
see
would
that you're
add,
on mute.
Yeah.
if I, thank you. Jody, if you are, I'm not sure if you are, but if you are speaking to kind of future forward into the Medi-Cal high fidelity wrap guidance and the statute AB 161 that required that mentions that a portion of the immediate needs funding can be used for the non-federal share. If that's what you're kind of alluding to going, future forward, we will be, CDSS and DHCS are working together on that, and that there will be future guidance on that.
Yeah, I think just for this as well, it's kind of the same issue. So just addressing both for aftercare and for the immediate needs would be great.
Right, thank you. Just to clarify, we've had a bevy of questions come in around county approval and provider certification, having to do that together. No, you're submitting separately and do not have to rely on each other, but this is a great follow-up question. Does a provider have to have a contract with the county to be certified?
You do not need to have a contract with the county in order to be certified. We know that you might in fact want to be certified first in order to get a contract, or you can work with your county and let them know that you are going through the process, so they may start the contracting process simultaneously.
Thank you. We have a question around rates. What are the rates the providers will be paid?
I think that we should save specific rate questions for further Medi-Cal guidance. We do not have that at this time. That will come at a later date, or it will be your existing rates that you use for Medi-Cal right now, and that will change. We do not have what that change will be. So we need to wait on that. If you are interested in what your aftercare allocation is, you would need to read the child welfare CFL to determine what your county child welfare and probation allocations are specific to aftercare.
And just to add to that real quick, is that a local county decision also? The state doesn't regulate what a county contracts with their individual providers and the rate that they set for that, if that's what the rates are referring to. It's a local county decision. But they should be setting a rate that will allow for high fidelity wraparound. I'll just say that.
And I would love to invite whoever asked that question in if they needed any more clarification and or wanted to expand on their question. Okay. Can counties contract with two different providers, one for foster youth and one for adopted families for AAP?
We are not dictating how many providers a county has contracts with. Though I will note, again, if you want to learn more about AAP funding and the contracts are through a parent to the provider, you can come join our meeting tomorrow. The adoption assistance team will be joining, and they will be leading breakout sessions on AAP specific wraparound and answering questions from the FAQ based on the ACL that was released last October. So join us tomorrow if you want to hear specifically on AAP funded wraparound. But again, we are not dictating who a county contracts with. That is a county decision. Outside of that, they have to be certified for aftercare.
Thank you, Danny. Next question. We have 2 contracts in Santa Barbara County to provide WRAP, one with DSS and one with our county mental health plan to provide the client's mental health services. Who needs to be approved? DSS, mental health, or both?
Both together and one approval.
The county will do one submission.
Yes.
All right. There was another question around post-adoptive services for AAP funded wraparound. Again, please join us tomorrow at the California Wraparound Advisory Committee and HUB meeting from 9 to noon. The AAP unit will be in attendance and in a targeted breakout session to speak to their guidance and take any questions. That link is in the chat. If you work with multiple counties, is it one plan per county with a provider or a single plan for a provider that will apply to multiple counties?
Again, that's the single plan per provider that applies to multiple counties. If you have something that is restrictive in your contract that you're saying like in this county, we have to do it this way and that cannot align with this county that says we have to do it the other way in our contract, you're going to tell us that. So you just make a note and say, this is our unified model. This is what we intend to do and plan to do. For this county, their contract says they're going to do it this way. So if you have like, for example, if you do your own fidelity measures internally in general, but then you have a county that says, actually, we will administer that for you, then you say, we do our own fidelity measures, here they are, da, 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 except for in X county, they do the fidelity measures. And in that case, we get the data from them and we use it with our teams, something like that. So you're going to answer to both. But again, we're looking for alignment, unifying. We want to minimize how much we're doing things differently across the state. We're really looking for you guys, like how do we, everybody all at once, start working towards developing unified wraparound models according to the wraparound standards.
Question. I could have missed it, but it would have been helpful to specify in future guidance that the allocations are intended to be prioritized for the non-federal share of SMHS.
That was an old question, so we already
Got it. Are the highlighted questions that we've already answered, team?
No.
Okay, thank you. Can aftercare high fidelity wraparound be used as a match for Medi-Cal funded services?
Again, I'm going to stay away from answering very specific nuanced fiscal questions. We can revert things to our fiscal team to ensure that our answers are very clear. And we also just have many. I want to be sure I'm not getting things confused in my head because we're having so many conversations in collaboration with DHCS for the future versus today, the way things are right now. So we'll just hold all of those for future conversation.
Awesome. Can you please speak about the requirements for documentation for high fidelity wraparound services? If the Child Welfare Services case management system, will there be a webinar on this future topic?
A webinar on that topic is an interesting idea. We'll make a note of that and see. So that's noted by our team for future help guidance. Those things we can explore that for sure.
And I can just add to that that there is detailed information in the ACL BHIN about how to document in CWS CMS. There is a wraparound special projects code. So that should be used anytime that a child is or a youth is receiving wraparound, whether it's aftercare wraparound or just wraparound in general. And also there's another question about whether it's required or mandated for families and youth to have wraparound, which wraparound is not mandated ever, but it is mandated for counties to offer wraparound and best practices, you know, to really work on engagement with that family and help them to understand the benefits of receiving wraparound in this time of transition. And then I'm definitely documenting that in the CWSCMS notes, case notes, if there is the family declining, so that it does show for your county that you offered it and it was declined, so that we know that, you know, you are offering the aftercare services to that youth.
And in the land of everything is changing, we also know that CWS-CMS will be moving into CARES in a few years. Wraparound will ultimately be built into CARES. It will not be in version 1. We'll get to it eventually. So that is just another thing for us to park for the future as we develop out the new CARES database and all of the CQI plans. There will be a lot to come in the future for high fidelity wraparound.
Fun. Do contracts with regional centers also count? Are the regional centers providing wraparound?
We are not currently collaborating with regional centers on this specific project. However, I know that you all might be working together at your county level and when it's appropriate for that individual youth in your care. So I would say that's an individual county decision with your local wraparound team and with the youth when that is applicable and appropriate.
Yeah. Because it's related to high fidelity wraparound aftercare of STRTP and child and family teaming, how does this process affect 0 to 5 populations? Should we still focus on certification?
So right now, certification is required for 12 months from the date of this letter for aftercare providers, but you are welcome again to apply if you would like to just note yourself as a high fidelity wraparound provider. It is our hope at a future time to have additional guidance on the 0 to 5 population for wraparound. We have a training that's currently been offered and is probably listed online related to wraparound for the 0 to 5 population. So that is a population where we have specified guidance and resources and training available through the UC Davis wraparound training offerings.
That class is called Wrapping Littles. It's fantastic. Check it out. It's on our course offerings page in that resource doc that we've been dropping throughout the webinar. If a youth is in aftercare wraparound experiences recidivism to an STRTP, how long can wraparound stay open? And how about psychiatric hospitalization or juvenile hall?
I can take this one. So for as far as the aftercare allocations, if we're talking about the actual dollars here, it pays for 1 month while the youth is in, like, as a transition month before they're exiting the STRTP or the community treatment facility. So initially, you know, prior to transition, there's that 1 month that can be billed through the aftercare allocations. If they then are going back, I think this question is referring to going back to that facility, then the aftercare allocation is no longer applicable because now they're in whatever facility that is. But they certainly, you know, that's a local decision as far as using other wraparound dollars and local, you know, policies in regards to that. We do get a lot of questions, you know, how long can we leave the youth open if they're AWOL or in some of these different situations? And that is a local county policy because every county does their funding differently. We just suggest, you know, best practice if the wraparound team can stay in contact with that youth and provide service, then certainly, you know, that might be helpful in that situation. If that's not allowable because of local policies, then of course that is what you have to go with. But hopefully that answers that question.
I do want to highlight, we're at the 10-minute mark before we end our webinar here. Tomorrow is our California Wraparound Advisory Committee meeting where the Adoptions Assistance Unit from CDSS will be joining us and taking those questions specifically around AAP funded wraparound. They'll be doing targeted breakout sessions to speak to their guidance and do a Q&A. That is tomorrow from 9 to noon. If you want to kind of have a good time, come at 8:30. Chris Petty and I do coffee talk, and we just kind of, you know, fellowship a little bit and get ready for the morning. So that is tomorrow from 9 to noon. Friday is going to be our first drop-in session for technical assistance. That is from 2 to 3:30. So if you'd like to come and listen in, be a fly on the wall, ask more targeted questions after you attended the CWAC meeting, you're more than welcome to join us Friday, August 1st from 2 to 3:30. Our Prepping for Provider Certification webinar, where Manuel Lua from Victor Community Services will be joining us. He is a large provider across the state of California. Richard Connect will also be there. That webinar is from 9 to 11 on August 5th. And then we'll be doing the county prepping for approval webinar on August 6th from 1 to 3. Gavin O'Sullivan from Placer County and his cohort Dre, and I'm so sorry, Dre, if you're in this space and I'm forgetting your last name, from Placer County. They'll be speaking to how they're prepping for providers, or excuse me, county certification. Richard Connect will be at both. Manuel will be at county, and also Gavin will be at the provider. So we'll all be able to speak together in what does that collaboration look like, separate submissions, submitting at the same time, concurrent planning, all of the information there. And again, every Friday, we will have a drop-in session from 2 to 3:30. So we'll have a follow-up on August 8th as well. That resource document has all of the emails to DHCS, CDSS, RCFFP, questions, answers. It has all of the links to all of the resources that we've been speaking to today. We have a few more minutes left. If I didn't get to your question specifically, or if it was a funding question, we will circle back and we will provide an FAQ or some type of answer to that question in the future. Also, any guidance related to aftercare and the new rate structure, that will come out through DHCS with further guidance. I think I did all the things.
And I would just let all of you know, I know there are a lot of very specific questions about things in the future, and we are working, we meet on a regular basis with DHCS. There are many things still to be determined. So we are working on that. And I understand that it's going to take patience to get to all of the answers, but over the next few years, there will be a lot of continued guidance to roll out.
And I am happy to say that DHCS, CDSS, and the RCFFP have been completely collaborative, speaking, talking every day, and making sure that we're giving you all of the information in real time as we're receiving it from CDSS and DHCS. So thank you both, Erica and Danny, for leading the charge for both of your teams and helping us to assist the community in all the ways possible. With that, the links are coming in fast and feverishly. I appreciate all 400 of you that showed up today for this first webinar in our series of supporting through certification and approval. Again, if you have any questions, please use those emails. We will answer them, and we will see you in further future spaces.